An Introduction to Islam by Seth Ward. This chart shows the world distribution of Muslim population. As you can see, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and Indonesia have the largest Muslim populations. In the Middle East, Egypt has about 79 million Muslims, the largest Arab Islamic country. Turkey and Iran are not Arabic speakers, and they have 74 million Muslims approximately in each one. Nigeria is the largest Muslim nation in Africa by population, also with 78 million Muslims. The Hadith of Gabriel is a good introduction to the basic principles of Islam. Umar bin al-Khattab, who became the second caliph, is said to have recited this story. A strange person came dressed in pure white clothes and began to ask questions of Muhammad, the prophet of Islam. The first set of questions were about al-Islam, submission to God. The messenger of God, that is Muhammad, replied that al-Islam, submission to God, represents 5 things. And these 5 things are the 5 pillars of Islam. There is no God but God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. You establish prayer, pay zakat, observe Ramadan, and perform pilgrimage. This group, sometimes called the 5 pillars, reflects the usual Islamic notions as to what are the demands of Islam in terms of symbols of submission. The next question had to do with Iman, faith, and the Prophet's answer articulates what are often called the 6 beliefs: faith in God, angels, books, prophets, Day of Judgment, and divine decree. I like to point out that judgment and decree are conflicting notions. God judges all of us by what we do, but also God decrees everything that is done in the world. The third question was about performance of good deeds, about what to do to create beautiful acts. Ihsan means doing that which is beautiful, or forming that which is beautiful. Muhammad said, worshiping God as if you see him, even though you don't see him, because God sees. The final set of questions were about the hour of doom. Muhammad remarked that the angel who questioned him did not know anything more than he, the Prophet Muhammad, knew. And then, when asked about the signs, says that the slave girl will give birth to her mistress and master, and that rural goat herds will vie one another in the construction of magnificent buildings. Men and women, slave and master, rural and urban people will become equal as a sign that the end of time and the final. These 5 pillars that we had in the first section could be called testimony, prayer, fasting, alms, and pilgrimage. And we will briefly look into all of them now. On the slide, you can see the Kaaba, the place of pilgrimage, on the left, and an artistic representation of the Shahada on the right. Testimony is there is no God but God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. This testimony, when said with the faith that saying so makes one a Muslim, is the way one becomes a Muslim. It is often the first thing whispered to a child. Many Muslims attempt to have this the last thing that they say during their earthly life. The second principle is salat, or prayer. And I have quite a few slides here which illustrate how the prayer works. It's said 5 times a day. It is discussed in a very famous hadith, a statement about what Muhammad said, did, or agreed to. The hadith is usually called the night journey and the ascent to heaven. In this hadith, Muhammad goes to the 7th heaven. He receives the command regarding prayer. In the 5th heaven, Moses tells him that the command is too strict. God had told him to pray 50 times a day. Moses tells him it's too much. Go back and ask to do fewer times a day. And they go back and forth until 5 times a day comes out as the result. The term salat is the same term as was used by Aramaic-speaking Jews and Christians, salota or salata, as a term for organized prayer. Al-Qaeda